Hello everyone, just testing the stream settings. Hope the video is coming fine. Are you able to look at the audio? Let me move to the other scene. Is the video okay? And the audio fine? Any echo on the audio? Any echo? No echo. And you are able to hear me equally well when I am on this particular video only scene. I know there is a bit of a lag, but that should be fine. Good enough. Stopping the streaming. No lag experiencing. That is really good. Cool. Yeah, we will start in around 20-25 minutes from now. But yeah, I'm live, so in case if we have anything to discuss, I'm more than happy to do. And guys, I know like the chat does show just the username and not your actual name, so it will be great if you can like introduce yourself, your name, and like yeah, anything that you would like to share about yourself with everyone in the chat window, or in case if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So Vinamani, it'll be easier for me if you can tell your name, and I'll be able to address the question. I know it just shows the username that we choose rather than the actual name. Let me go to the scene only video. Yeah, Varun. Hey, Varun. Okay to join the next week, or is it mandatory? So obviously, sessions are not mandatory as such. Like it's yeah, they'll be live streaming, and it's totally up to you. But yeah, it's like your wish. I believe engaging with everyone always helps. So in case if you have time, feel free to join in. There will be a lot of interactions, and probably you can help answering questions that other people have. Hey Kishan, yeah, everyone, while introducing, please like you type your name also. Otherwise, like it gets difficult just to identify people only with the username that Twitch provides. Yeah, Varun, that's perfectly fine. If in case if you have any specific work, feel free to like yeah, jump on, and whenever you have time, you can come online again. But yeah, obviously sessions are not mandatory, and kind of these would be recorded, though I'm streaming on Twitch for the first time. But yeah, they should get recorded, and they should automatically be shown in the video section. So you should be able to look into that. I'll also try and like download them and put it on the YouTube channel. Hey Sujit, new to cloud platform. Will this be helpful? Yes, this will be very helpful. This is more helpful for people who are starting from scratch, I believe, because who has some experience on AWS might find the initial few sessions as a bit of, like a repeat for themselves. I'll start from the very scratch of the basics of cloud. We'll try and create a AWS account today, free tier account in case if you do not have, and we'll start like step by step from the very basics, and we'll slowly increase our level and try and achieve cloud practitioner certification in next 4 weeks, and then we will build on to achieve AWS Solution Architect certificates. Hey Amar, hope you're doing good. Hi Srinivas, and you already have experience in Azure, then it should be very easy for you to pick it up on AWS. Yeah, because you all are already aware of the cloud concepts uh, pretty much. It's all about another cloud platform, AWS. And Kishan, good to know that you have gone through the sessions on the YouTube. I hope they were helpful. So, hi Gaurav, what is the difference between Cloud Practitioner and Solution Architect Associate? Which one to target if new to AWS? So, if you are absolutely new to AWS, then I always recommend to start with AWS Cloud Practitioner. If you are new to cloud overall, then like AWS Cloud Practitioner is the right place to start. AWS Solution Architect is a bit more advanced than Cloud Practitioner. That's where I would say the rubber meets the road. It's like you actually put your, uh, hands-on labs is required. You actually go deep into the different AWS core services. We'll talk about the different AWS core services. We'll go deep into, though it gets introduced in the Cloud Practitioner, but they gets introduced in a more broader level and a deeper level when we do it in the AWS Solution Architect. Hi, Nitin. Gaurav, we have another. Have been an AWS project for an hour. Okay, you have. If you have been an AWS project for a while, then I believe then Cloud Practitioner might feel a bit. I would say, what do you call it? Mm, easy for you, or you might not already knowing the concepts. Depending upon if you are working on because I know that there are few people who work on cloud, but they work only on S3 bucket. Like using S3 bucket for storing the files and retrieving the files. If that's the breadth that you have on AWS, then I would say Cloud Practitioner would be useful. But if you have been, like using Cloud Practitioner for, let's say, provisioning instances, doing some serverless or database and all that, then Cloud Practitioner might be a more of a redundant for you, and you should be aiming to go for Solution Architect Associate, which anyways we'll all will be doing. I plan to do it in a way that even if someone is starting from very scratch, then they should be able to catch up in the 4 weeks to reach a level where they have basic understanding of the cloud. Okay, and then hi Virgil, and nice to see that you follow the YouTube channel. And Kishan, good to know that you are planning for AWS Cloud Practitioner next week. My only advice would be to you can go through few practice tests. There are few practice tests that are available. You can go through those, and yeah, go for it. AWS Cloud Practitioner, even if you are, like new to cloud, and if you are from a technical background, you would see that it is not a difficult thing to catch up. It's a quite basic concepts, and if you are from like computer science background, then it is very relatable. But let's say if you are from a non-technical background, let's say you're from a sales background, or you're from like a business background, then you might feel that these concepts need like a bit more effort from your side, but that is fine. That's where we are here for. And in case see, no question, it will be a kind of a stupid question or silly question, so don't feel like hesitant in asking any questions either here or on the Telegram group channel. And I urge everyone, especially who have already done Cloud Practitioner or Solution Architect Associate certifications, to help others. Uh, uh, yeah, depending upon who has bandwidth, we should all be trying to help each other yeah, getting those concepts, doing the hands-on labs, and yeah, the aim would be that let's try and achieve cloud practitioner in next 4 weeks, and then another subsequent 8 weeks, like 3 months from now. I would love to see as many folks in this batch as possible to achieve AWS Solution Architect Associate certification. And then we'll also talk about later on, like creating your own learning path for yourself, because I believe that once you achieve Cloud Practitioner Solution Architect Associate, you have enough motivation, enough interest that you can create your own learning path and dive deep into different areas of AWS. So the cloud and AWS are so vast that you cannot become kind of, and it's very difficult to become a master of all. You can choose your specialization area and then dive deep into that to become expert in that particular area. And that can be like more on an infrastructure side, like let's say networking, or more on, let's say, a modernization side, or let's say database side, or serverless side. It totally depends upon which like a path you would like to take. I would say that have a T-shaped, like you have a area of depth and expertise, and T-shaped mainly for so that you know the breadth and you have the broad view of all the functionalities that AWS as a platform provides. Okay, let me see if I'm missing any chat. So yeah, Gaurav, Nitin, Gil, Kishan, then, Kashish. I'm a BTech graduate. What's the entry level job for grads in cloud domain? So entry level jobs, I would say, might be you can either become kind of thinking of entering as a developer into the cloud domain. So like we will also discuss about it's just a kind of a mindset change when you talk about developing like a application for a on-prem or application for a cloud. It's the same coding skills that is used. Like I come from a .NET development background, and it's just kind of a bit of a like a shift in terms of the mindset and in terms of like the way cloud native architectures work. Otherwise it's the same .NET or the C# code that we write. Or if you're even if you're from a testing background, it's all about now thinking about the cloud native architectures and how you can do the testing on the cloud native architectures. uh, or in case if you're a fresh graduate, then I would say a cloud support roles are a good way to get started. It all depends upon from in which area you can get a breakthrough, and then you can build your career, as well as in which area you would like your interest is. So it will depend upon quite many factors, I would say. Okay. Hi, Abhishek. Great. And I have a message from Shanti. I have close to 11 years of experience in IT, but new to cloud. After completing your sessions and upon successful completion of AWS certification, how does that help in getting a job on AWS outside market? So, see, yeah, it all depends upon, like I understand the motivation behind getting these certifications or upskilling yourself is mostly to get a new job or upskill in your career. And that's what we are trying to do, like pivot uh, people to get into cloud. I myself was not into like cloud till around a couple of years ago, before I joined AWS. Yeah, I did start a bit of like learning myself and stuff, but overall, yes, the aim here is that once we have these certifications, that should open up more opportunities for you, whether within your in your organization itself or outside your organizations. And one thing that will be really important for that is doing hands-on labs. Just getting the certifications to have it in the resume will not be helping. You should be having the actual hands-on labs, like you should be having the knowledge and the experience. Even then it gets quite tricky, like few of the people that I mentor very closely are like finding it difficult in terms of when the recruiters ask them that you do not have any experience on the live projects, right? And I suggest them, like always try and build your application portfolio while you're preparing for your certifications and achieving your certifications. Building your application portfolio it does two things. First, it itself helps you creating your own hands-on labs. Like, you can create your own website, own create your website, have a, like a URL on which you have hosted your website, or a serverless application, or depending upon in which area you are. So like if you have a 11 years experience, like I think someone mentioned in the chat, they are, yeah, like Srinivas mentioned that he has 14 years of experience in ETL and big data, and anyways he has experience in Azure. But in case if you want to build like a application which is which is like kind of using the ETL layer of AWS services, like, and we'll discuss about all that. I don't want to overwhelm much in the first session, but if you would like to build something on of like in the domain that you have experience on AWS, and have that in, like during your like resume shortlisting process or interview process, you can always mention that, like, yes, in my current project I do not have a specific opportunity to work on cloud, but I have been doing a self learning. I have completed this certification. This is the application portfolio that I have built on my own, and they're as close to as real projects on something like that. Or you can always talk about, like you tried starting, like your own startup, and this is what you have been building, yeah, and so on and so forth. Okay, then let me. So Kashish, you're is a BTech fresher and wanted to be a solution architect. So solution architect becoming, it will be a journey, right? So solution architect is something that, like you need to have, I would say, some level of experience understanding the whole, like the basic terminology, having those building blocks, and that's when you can become a solution architect. There are, like you need to be good in consulting. There are quite many things, like that requires you to be a solution architect. But I would say, like take a step by step, take it step by step, and have that goal clear in your mind that you would like to move towards solution architecting, and then create a learning path. It's not a overnight thing that will happen becoming a solution architect. So I myself, like if I look into the my own career journey, I started as a .NET developer, worked as a .NET developer for quite many years. Then, like I obviously, as a natural progression, I started leading teams. I became a .NET architect, and then like I became a cloud solution architect. Or I would say I'm not a cloud solution architect, I'm more of an application solution architect for modernization projects on the cloud. So, even solution architect has quite many roles. Even if you go into, like AWS job portal, right, you will see that there are so many roles for solution architect, and there are different kinds, and we can look into it even right now. We do have 7 minutes before we can start, so probably I can show you that. So let's go to AWS jobs. Okay, so location, I am in London, so I'm going to put here in London as a location, but you can always choose the location that you would like, and you will see that, like in London itself we have around 1619 jobs. But if I write here solution architect, right, in London, and then if I search, then you would see that there are so many different kinds of solution architect, right? SAP, that anyone who has experience in SAP and they would like to become a solution architect in AWS, or Microsoft platform. This is kind of matching to my role. I come from a .NET development background, so my role here at AWS as a solution architect, I'm a partner solution architect. So my role here is to enable partners of AWS in migrating and modernizing Microsoft workloads on AWS. So yeah, there are different kinds of solution architects that you will be able to find. There are solution architects who want to work in the startup space. There are solution architects who are in media and entertainment. So yes, it totally depends upon, if anyone is into containers, and they are, like the, they are deep into the container technology, like Docker, Kubernetes, and so on and so forth. Then there is an opening for specialist solution architect only for the container specific. So you have to choose that a path for yourself and work towards that to become a solution architect. Yes, there is a YouTube channel, and I'll be posting that. It is there in the Telegram group, and I can post the link there in the Telegram group. And I'll try and upload these sessions also onto the YouTube channel. So how many participants do we have yet? Yeah, we do have 5 minutes, and okay, we do have quite few, many, yeah. And in case if anyone has any other questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, we do have a couple of minutes before we start. Have a requirement to get files from S3 to Azure Gen 2 storage, vice versa. Yeah, probably we can discuss these specific scenario questions, of solving your own technical issues separately offline. But yeah, in case for S3, as you would see that there are APIs available, there are CLIs available, there are SDK available, depending upon how you would like to use it. You can use. Tried AZ copy. It works, but fine. Wanted to know the best practices, best recommendations. It depends upon a lot of scenarios and a lot of different things, but yeah, we can discuss that. Anyone else would like to introduce themselves? Would you suggest batch fresher to go for solution architect? Yes, I would definitely suggest. I know a lot of freshers. Even I was surprised to see a few people who are in their second year and third year of BTech, and I'm uh, the generation now. I did my BTech in 2007. I completed my BTech, and I probably was not that motivated as I see people motivated right now that they complete these AWS certifications or any other industry level certifications during their third year and final year. So feel free to do that. Please go ahead and do solution architect associate certification. That will only strengthen your knowledge and your base for becoming a solution architect. So are we going to record this session for future references? Yes, this session is being recorded and it will be added to uh, the Twitch AW the video section. So you should be able to find the recording after the session there. And also I'll try and upload this. I'll download and upload this onto the YouTube channel. Sometime back, you posted a story about one of your students having she managed to land interviews without having a technical degree. Yes, Jamila, she is, yeah, she is inspirational and she is, awesome. But even if she had a journey, it was not like it happened overnight. It was a journey for her, to move into this AWS solution architect role. She worked in on a support role for some time, and then after working for support role, she started taking more and more responsibilities. And then she did these certifications, and she joined. What's that program called? It's slipping my mind. The program is called AWS Challenge. There's some program, community builder program. Yes, this is the community builder. She joined AWS community builder, where advantage of joining the AWS community builder is that you get associated with uh, the mentors within the AWS, and you get access and resources to a lot of different tools. And yes, that's how her journey overall started. But it's really impressive that coming from a non-technical background, she was able to grasp all these cloud concepts, and now she is a solution architect at AWS. AWS Restart is definitely another very great program. I love the program. uh, AWS Restart is mainly for experience, kind of experienced folks, I would say, who have not been in technology or who have had a long gap in their career and they would like to restart their careers. That's where AWS Restart comes into picture. Uh, Hi, Nenu Ravishankar. You come from a 12 years of experience, have experience with AWS Azure Cloud. That's good to know that you have already experience with AWS and Azure Cloud, and you can find things around that. That is a great skill, I would say, like to get the job done. So good to know that. Okay, I'm a BTech fresher. Is this course for me? It's yeah, definitely. It's never a bad time to learn AWS. So you can always learn about cloud and AWS and achieve these certifications. This is going to help for sure. Can we contact you offline to get our own project specific questions? Yes, feel free to do that. Yeah, like obviously I'm a bit short on bandwidth, but I try and respond to as many people as possible. Um, but there are a lot of online resources, and I would be probably able to point you to the right resources. For example, in case if you are looking into AWS serverless, right? So there is a 3-hour course free from AWS itself that should get you started there. So feel free to reach out to me. So hey Virgil, I have 12 years of experience in .NET and SharePoint development. Now I'm working on becoming a AWS solution architect. That's great to know. And yeah, all the best in your uh, learning journey. Alfonso, will you record this session and make it available? Alfonso, this session is being recorded currently, and we will make it available. It will be available on the Twitch channel itself in the videos, and I'll also upload it to the YouTube channel, and I'll post the YouTube channel link to the Telegram group. Hi Nami, and you're looking forward to have a clear understanding of completing AWS Solution Architect, and that is great. And you have 6 years of experience in SQL Linux technology. Good to know, and that's what we are here for. Again, the aim would be that in the next 4 weeks we'll achieve AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification, and uh, in the subsequent 8 weeks, aim would be to achieve AWS Solution Architect certification. So if we are, if everyone is motivated and able to inspire each other, then in 3 months' time, I I'll hope that most of us will be able to achieve both the certifications. I think it is time for us to kickstart the session. So yeah, and there I see there are a few more questions, and I'll respond to those questions. um, Probably while we go through, and feel free to post these questions even in the Telegram group. But I think there are two more questions which I can quickly respond, and then we'll stop questions and we'll go on to the session today. A little bit of testing roles in AWS. So there will be testing roles in AWS. It depends upon in which organization you have. You can always go to Amazon.com and just write testing here, and you would be able to find these test roles, and you will be able to find the job description and everything of specific. They might be not just for AWS, they might be in across Amazon. For example, I see this is for Amazon Prime Video. uh, but yeah, there will be roles for testing also. Mostly it will be automatic testing. I don't think there will be more roles for a manual testing, but there will be roles. Would you refer us for Amazon for any suitable job openings? Yes, I can do that, but I would definitely like to, know you better rather than just referring you, so that we can work out to find the suitable role. And I would like to know people more than simply, referring them directly. Cool. I think we have covered all the questions on the chat. Yes, this video would be available later on. So we start with our session today? Yes, they will be available on YouTube. And I'm going to stop looking into the chat now. And yeah, I think we are at 1:05 p.m. GMT. So we should get starting with our session today. So um, yeah, welcome everyone, and I hope that uh, as I said, like our aim here it is to get started on cloud and AWS, and we will aim to achieve AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification in next 4 weeks, and then we'll move on to AWS Solution Architect Associate Certification in the subsequent 8 weeks. Uh, when we talk about AWS certifications, there are multiple AWS certifications that you can see on the screen currently. Um, so if you see, this is the foundational certification, and AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification is quite, a good when you are thinking about getting started on the cloud and AWS. It covers quite many concepts at a foundational level. uh, but like that's just a foundational, and I would urge everyone at least who are from a tech background and working in a technical roles to at least achieve AWS Solution Architect Associate Certification. This is where you'll be learning, you will be going more deep and hands-on into using AWS and building on AWS. That will be our aim, but my aim mostly is to motivate and have kind of ignite enough interest in you so that you can create your own learning path and try and achieve other certifications as you seem fit. For example, if you want to be a big data expert or data analytics expert on AWS, then your aim should be to achieve AWS data analytics specialty, and that will be your depth of expertise. And to get a broad view of your expertise, you should be aiming to get all of these, like a cloud practitioner and solution architect. After that, go for these developer and associate certifications, and then go for the professional certifications. Professional certifications are quite hard, actually. Like they are kind of the toughest. I would say they are tougher than the specialty certifications. uh, they not only test like your AWS knowledge, but also test quite many different things, like your critical thinking, your time management skills, so on and so forth. Yeah, in the both the professional exams, I have been time pressed. I was not able to complete it entirely, so it's quite difficult to achieve. uh, but yeah, let one step at a time. We'll start with cloud practitioner. Other thing that I would like to show you guys is the AWS Ramp Up Guides. Yeah, here it is. And I'll be posting all these links. Let me, I believe everyone should be having these links, but let me keep posting them uh, into the chat windows. So this is the AWS certification where you can get started. So, and this is the AWS Ramp Up Guide link. So if you look into this AWS Ramp Up Guide link, then you have option to either browse by role or browse by solution. So let's first look into browse by role, and I'm going to uh, zoom a bit. So it depends upon you want to become an architect, or if you're just for a business professionals. This is just for people who are not from not into technical but mainly into sales or account management and so on and so forth. Cloud practitioner, developer, operations. So we'll look into this, download the guide, and we'll go into for this particular cloud how to become a architect on AWS. We'll look into that in a moment. Or you can ramp up guide by solution, and this is where I say this is a better guide when you want to choose a specific specialty, that you want to be a specialty in your containers, or if you're mainly into your cloud cost optimization or management um, solutions, like this is or data analytics, so on and so forth. As you can see, there are multiple verticals in which you can become specialist, whether it is database, IoT, game technology, machine learning. So depending upon your area of interest, you should be thinking about having this as a long term goal. So if you think about uh, going cloud native, or learning, or increasing your learning curve on AWS exponentially, then have a goal of in the next 3 months we'll be anyways achieving AWS Cloud Practitioner and Solution Architect Associate certification. But then think about that by the end of the year, which specialist area you would like to become a specialist on. Have that goal as in your mind, right? So that after 3 months, when you'll be achieving the basic certifications, you will be able to follow these guides and achieve a deep level of expertise in one of your area of interest, right? Cool. So for someone who on the chat who asked a question on the serverless, if you go and download this guide, you will be able to find the 3 hour session that I was talking about, uh, the full training that we have. So that will be really useful. Let me see if I can find that for you. Uh, See, there is DynamoDB API gateway, but I would like to find a specific 3 hour training that I saw some time back. I'm not able to find it here, but I should be able to find it for you, and I'll send that to you. But yeah, as you can see, there are a lot of like digital trainings that are free, and all of them will add up to more than 3 hours. I think that's the like session that I saw was an amalgamation of multiple of these sessions that they are here. Cool. So now let's talk about Cloud Practitioner Certification. Yeah, and we'll come back to I'll close the links that are not required. So I'll have just, oh no, I wanted to have the architect guide also. So let me open that again. AWS Ramp Up Guides. Yeah, I'll have this handy, and then I'll go back here. This is what we would like to dive deep into currently. So here it is, AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification. So there is a download exam guide, download sample questions. Sample questions we'll look into it, later in third week or fourth week. Right now we'll look into how we can achieve that level of knowledge, right? And the exam format, as you see, is like 65 questions, either multiple choice or multiple response. But let's look into the exam guide. So if you see Cloud Practitioner, it intends for individuals who have knowledge, skills, and abilities to demonstrate basic knowledge of AWS platform. And talk about the basic knowledge, not very advanced, and you can go through this, the exam guide to understand better. But what I would like to focus here on this particular part, which is the 4 domains that the exam looks into, and how we should be going to learn these. I would like to have a 4 week plan specifically for all of you, and I would like each one of you to try and follow that so that we can achieve cloud practitioner certification by the end of 4 weeks. So I created a a blog on Medium. I think I should be having it. Yeah, here it is. So if you see in the week 1, the aim should be, I'll keep switching between 3 tabs: Cloud Practitioner Certification, Ramp Up Guide, and 4 week learning path. So let's first look into the Ramp Up Guide. Okay. So if I expand this, so they say that these are the learning resources that you have, and step 1 is to learn Cloud Architect fundamentals. So once you complete the step 1 is continue till here, right? So once you complete step 1 till here, till AWS Technical Essentials, you should be good enough to go ahead and give your AWS Cloud Practitioner certification. We'll start on the step 2 when we would like to start preparing for our AWS Solution Architect Associate certification. So my recommendation would be to, for the next couple of weeks, focus on the step 1, right? Understanding how the AWS pricing works, what's the well-architected framework, what is the AWS share responsibility model, and we'll discuss a few of these concepts in detail, right? So that's from the ramp up guide. I think that's what I had to show from the ramp up guide. So I'll close that and I'll come back here and we'll talk about these 4 domains. The cloud concepts, as I said, these are the 4 domains which will help you achieve AWS Cloud Practitioner. But cloud concepts is something that is the most essential thing if you are new to cloud and we would like to get understanding of the cloud. So this is what we should be focusing on in the first week, along with AWS security and compliance. So these are the 2 domains that I would ask you to focus on in the first week, and it should not, uh, I would say, take you more than 6 to 7 hours of study or 8 hours study maximum in week one for you to get the understanding of these basic concepts, which is the cloud concept and the security and compliance concepts. I see there is a comment that the video is lagging. Right? Is the video okay now, or is it lagging? I'll try and be a bit slow. Okay. Cool. So yes, domain one and domain two is what we should be focusing on the week one. So and for this, yeah, we would be looking into a few things today. But for the learning path itself, you can always go to this link. I'm not sure if you guys have this link, but let me ping that link and you guys can open it at your end also, so that you can browse through all the resources that are there. So if you see the week one study, so I have put in all the resources here for the week one. One is what is the cloud computing. You should be able to understand that a bit in this detail. AWS overview white paper, we'll look into it today a bit. It's a very big white paper, like around 90 plus pages, but from the cloud practitioner perspective or understanding the overview perspective, first 8 to 10 pages should be good enough. Then we have AWS Cloud Essentials training. For someone who is absolutely new to AWS, should be able to go through this and understand a bit. And this is where I would say fourth and fifth point is important. Anyone who is from a technical background should be looking into having the hands-on experience on AWS. So do have a AWS account, whether it is from your organization or you creating your own free tier account. Um, but please do that and start doing hands-on even from the day one. While you are understanding the concepts, in parallel look into the AWS management console and start getting the feel of it, so that when the time comes you can dive deeper, and we'll look into that even today also. And then it is optional. If you have time, then you can go through the AWS security fundamentals in the week one. It will be really helpful to dive deep into that. But yeah, that's optional depending upon whether you have this extra time. But if you have it, go for it. It will really help you in the week two. But if not, that is fine. Ensure that you understand the um, basics of the cloud. You go through this AWS overview white paper in detail for the first 8 to 10 pages, and have your free tier account set up, so that this will get you start sets up you for the further weeks, for the study of the further weeks. Okay, now after week one, when you understand the basic concepts, that's when you move into the most important part, which is technology. So if you look into even the percentage of the examinations, the cloud concepts and security and compliance are 26 and 25%. So that forms around 50% of your paper, both of them combined. And then the technology in itself, you say, is 33%. It's like one third of the paper. So the maximum focus on this particular, certification is on the technology. This is where you get introduced to the AWS core services, and you should be able to understand these core services, and we'll look into it in as much detail as we can. But again, in terms of the resources, uh, here are the resources, and I've kept it very simple in the resources section. There is a 6 hours free digital training that should give you enough information about all that core services of AWS, which is like compute, database, storage, networking, security, so on and so forth. And I am assuming that week one it'll take some time probably for you guys to gear on, gear up and stuff. But by week two, you should be fully into it, and this is where you need to put in your maximum effort, 8 to 10 hours of study. And this would be, I would say, is the most important week in your entire 4 weeks to get your cloud practitioner certification. Depending upon how well you understood the resources in the week one, this digital training course might feel, like 6 hours might feel a bit repetitive for few of the sections, like because this obviously starts again from the basics of cloud. So if you feel that you have understood it well enough, then you can think about, like skipping it. But if you think that, a reiteration would always be helpful to, like register it in your mind, then, listen to it. Even for the folks who feel that they have been working on AWS, but they would like to, understand it a bit better, this can be a good course. Like it's a very good refresher course, even for someone who has a bit of experience. And yeah, you can always probably, listen it on 2x or something, in case if you feel it, like those concepts. But anyone who is starting fresh, this is where you should be, focusing more. This 6 hour free digital training course. And while doing this 6 hour free digital training course, there are a lot of labs that the trainers there show. uh, so you should be following those labs on your own. And yeah, as I said, in week one, if you have created your own AWS account, then you should be able to, like use that account to do those courses, like do those hands-on labs. And there is a link for introductory hands-on labs. You should be able to look into these hands-on labs here and do few of these labs. So I'll tell you a trick here. You can always go for an introductory level here and look into the core services, like AWS IAM, and that's a free course. So you can always do the free course. So any course which requires a credit will require you probably, to pay. But you can always, instead of paying because you have your own account, what you can do is that you can follow the instructions. So any, even this, if you go ahead, obviously it'll ask me to sign up and stuff. But um, but once I sign up, even without paying, I should be able to see the instructions here. And once you have these instructions, you will be always able to, run it in your own account. And even if, like you do not have access to these, just by looking into the topics, you should be able to understand what kind of hands-on exercise you should be doing. Like for example, and I don't want to rush it. Probably when we'll come to the week 2, I'll tell of exactly what hands-on lab exercise you should be doing. But anyone who is starting new, please start having your hands dirty as soon as possible. I'm looking into few of the chats. Seems like people are facing any issue. Medium asks for money to read your article. No, it should not ask money. It should be, like only if you have, uh, gone through multiple, yeah, Medium. I think it's on a subscription basis. Let me do one thing. There is a LinkedIn post on the same. Let me post that link here. That will be easier, I think. So if I go to my LinkedIn and if I go to my profile, then I did actually create a post on this 4-week learning path. So let me send this post here. So on this post, whatever I am speaking, you should be able to download this. Like you just go for a full screen, and there will be a download button here. So you should be able to download this, and then you will be able to find all the uh, resources from here also. But yeah, I think Medium has a monthly limit, uh, beyond which you might have to pay to read the articles on the Medium. So if you are using Medium quite regularly, then probably you'll have to pay. Otherwise, I think there are 2 or 3, like you can always go through Medium. But yeah, that's alternative in case if you would want to have. And I can share this, LinkedIn. You can always go to my LinkedIn profile and look into my featured messages, or I will send this link to the Telegram group, and then you can read it there also. Any other article? Video is black. Yeah, I am sharing my video, and I think other people are able to see the video, and I think even it should be clear in the mobile app. Okay, good. There are no other questions right now. Cool. Okay. On the week 3 now, once you have done from week 2, week 1 and week 2 uh, in the domain, this is where you have covered, I would say, 75% of the course. Uh, in terms of like your overall preparation time, the billing and pricing, it should be quite easy compared to the rest of the domains. It's also just 16% weightage, and it would be covered a bit in your 6 hours learning course that we have on here. So it should be uh, yeah, here in this course there'll be some introduction to the billing and pricing, but yeah, you should be able to go through, like when you would be logging in into AWS console, there are some dashboards that you should be familiar with. You should be understanding how the AWS pricing works, and with that you should be good in domain 4. So when it comes to domain 4, because I feel that after the week 2 it would be quite hectic, so week 3 we kept it specific, light, 5 to 6 hours for study, so that doesn't go into a burnout. And there are a few resources that I have provided. Go through the AWS support plans. This would be really important to understand the different support plans. This is something that would be useful in terms of whether you are giving your examination or whether you are using it for your use or for in your own organization. There are different support plans that you should be knowing, and the differences between them, and there'll be few questions for sure on that, and you should be understanding billing and management console, AWS management console, so on and so forth. So week 3 would be pretty light, and if you go through this, quite many things would be covered here. So you can just brush through that. And then that comes the week 4, which is you have covered all the things required for your certification, like in terms of study. So it's all about revision and giving the practice tests. And for practice tests, you can always use we'll also do a mock practice test, not in entirety, but probably we can do a Kahoot quiz or something like that together on this like a Twitch streaming when the week 3 or week 4 comes. But yeah, you can always go for some a paid resource like Udemy or Vislabs. They generally have a discount going on almost every time. I think Vislabs should be having the discount going on. Udemy generally keeps having these discounts. So yeah, use whichever you would like, and give a few practice tests. If you think that you need those practice and aim to score above 70%, and then you should be good. And that's the point where you can think about booking your certification exam. I would say that by the end of the week 3, when you have completed your course materials and a bit of hands-on labs, you should be in a position to go ahead and book your exam date uh, a week in advance. And that's when you have a particular date in mind, you work towards it to do all the revision and the practice test to go ahead and achieve that. Okay, so I'll take a pause there for a moment. Any questions that we have? Okay. Udemy for practice test, you were saying, yes, there are a lot of different like Stephen Marek or a cloud guru, or I think digital cloud training. There are quite many organizations, or individual people who have created a practice tests and have put on Udemy. I think John Bonso has also done so. So they're quite good there. But yeah, I do not recommend to spend a lot on those practice tests. See if you can get them in any uh, voucher or something like that if you have, or kind of a Udemy promotions that you can get, because you would be needing these practice tests much more uh, when you will be giving AWS Solution Architect certification. That's where it will be more required. Okay, so if there are no more questions, Is this certification paid? Do we need to pay? Yes, AWS certification is paid. So so if you go to AWS certifications FAQ, there would be, all the questions FAQ that you have, they'll be here. But when it comes to the cost, let me do one thing. This one question that I get quite often, and let me try and see if I can help you answer through a simple Excel sheet. So the fees for, and let me, okay, yeah, I hope the font should be good. The fees for CCP, that is Cloud Practitioner Certification, is $100, right? And fees for Solution Architect Associate is $150. I get this question a lot of times, like that whether they should be going directly for solution architect associates, specifically for people who have a bit of a technical from a technical background, and they might feel a cloud practitioner as a bit basic. I myself have done solution architect associate directly, so that's perfectly fine. But I generally recommend doing cloud practitioner first and solution architect associate second. But that does mean that it is a costly affair, right? It is overall. It seems that it is a $250 price overall. But there is one benefit here. Once you clear cloud practitioner certification, then you get a 50% discount voucher from AWS for your next certification. So when you get this 50% discount voucher, what happens is that this Solution Architect Associate certification would become 75. Sorry, this becomes 75, right? So what happens is that Control X. So if we do only cloud practitioner, so if we do cloud practitioner and solution architect with this voucher, it costs you $175. Compared to when you do directly solution architect associate certification, it will cost you 150. So the price, as you see, whether you're going to do both or only single one directly solution architect associate, is the price difference is only $25, which is not much, right? So when you think in this way, that you need to spend only $25 extra to give your cloud practitioner certification, then it does not feel much, and it helps in keeping that momentum. Because solution architect associate certification preparation would require at least 8 weeks. Okay, and for someone who is starting will require at least 12 weeks. Then giving a AWS Cloud Practitioner certification in between in a 4 weeks time is always a good checkpoint without a lot of extra cost because you get 50% voucher. So that's why my recommendation is that go for cloud practitioner certification. Have that checkpoint. You will know that whether you're in the right direction. It'll have it's like having a mini goal to achieve. And once you achieve that, then you can go for a big solution architect associate certification. Once you clear this solution architect certification, you get 50% voucher again. So every AWS certification that you clear, if you are not able to clear, then you'll not get the voucher. But if you're able to clear it, then you'll get a 50% voucher. That would mean that when you're going for a developer certification or a CSOP certification or any professional level certification, you can use that 50% voucher. So as long as you keep clearing your AWS certifications, you will keep getting 50% vouchers for your next certification. Cool. Hope that helped. And yeah, this is something that probably someone, if would have told me long back, it would have helped me also. And that's why I try and share this specifically with everyone. Any other questions? Is there an expiry date for the voucher? I am not sure. It should be at least it'll not be like a month or 2 months. It should be for a year at least. So it'll give you enough time for your next certification. But yeah, somewhere in this particular FAQ, you should be able to find the answer that what will be the expiry for the voucher that you will be getting. So there is a question of can't you refer us? I've heard there's a referral. Yes, there is a referral and we can refer, but I generally try and understand, know the people before referring. So, if you're interested in a AWS specific job, like get in touch. We'll probably get on a call. We'll understand each other. I'll try and understand your strength area so that I'm ensuring that you are applying for the right role and you are set up for the success. Yeah, otherwise it'll not be helpful just by simply referring. Okay, again for the voucher, for the timeline to redeem is same as is there expiry date for the voucher. Cool. Any other questions? If not, let's dive deep into the referral to get a voucher. It says it's 1 year expiry. Good. Oh, I think I misunderstood the question. I've heard when you get referral, you can do it for free. If you're talking about doing free certifications, no, I don't think there is any such policy that we can refer anyone to do certifications for free. Certification is free. Like if you are in AWS and you do any certifications, it is obviously sponsored by AWS. For tester, this 4-week course will make me to understand AWS basics, right? Yes, it is going to definitely help you understand the basics and get you started on your AWS cloud learning journey. Definitely. That's the whole purpose of this, like a 4-week course that we are doing right now, and then we'll build on it for another 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, cool. So let's start with today, the actual session that I wanted to cover a few things today. We are 37 minutes into the, okay, cool. I'll adjust the timings accordingly. So for week one, what is cloud computing? Okay, this is a 3-minute video that you can watch in your time. But what I'll start with AWS Overview white paper. Or in fact, yeah, let's go to what is cloud. So what is cloud computing? So there are few things that you can always watch this 3-minute video here. But for starters, think about cloud as a on-demand delivery of IT resources. So when I say on-demand delivery of IT resources, it means that it is being delivered over the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing model. So what it means for organizations is that instead of they buying, owning, and maintaining the physical data centers or the whole infrastructure of servers, they can access these over the internet whenever they need it. So for example, in case if you need a compute, what you will do is that you will go to AWS console, or depending upon which mechanism you would like to provision a new compute instance, you can provision that instance and use it for the time you need it and switch it off. To give an example, think about it as a electricity that you're using at your home. So when you come into your room, you switch on your light and you start consuming the electricity, right? You do not think about from where it is being generated, how it is being delivered to you. You simply use it when you need it. And when you are leaving the room, you switch off the light and you stop consuming the electricity. And at the end of the month, you pay only for the units that you have consumed. So think that your IT resources, whether it is your compute instances, whether it is your database, whether it is your networking resources, so on and so forth, all of these you will be able to access it when you need it over the internet, and pay only for the duration that you have used it. That's what cloud computing is. In a nutshell, very frankly, that's what cloud computing is. Okay, cool. We'll talk about the benefits, and it's a very good link. Let me post this link also onto the chat. So anyone who is starting, this is a great link to understand the cloud computing and the basics here. But what we'll start now is overview of this. So if you see overview of this white paper, yeah, it's a 72 page white paper. And yeah, okay, so let's table of contents, like if I zoom it a bit. So what we will cover here is, we'll definitely cover overview of AWS, what is cloud computing that we just discussed about, advantages of cloud computing, and the different types of cloud computing. Global infrastructure is really important. This is one topic that I would say to focus, is like global infrastructure, and then obviously security and compliance. We will look into about up till here software development kits in the cloud platform. After that, if you would see, in this particular white paper, they have talked about all the different types of AWS services, like in different domains that they have, whether it is in analytics, whether it is in application integration, in AR, VR, cost management. No need to dive deep into these at this stage. We can do it for the Solution Architect Associate certification if we need to, but for cloud practitioner, stopped up till here, which is like page 9 and 10, and we'll look into it right now itself. So let's go there. Overview, introduction, abstract is fine. So here it is. What is cloud computing? As we discussed, it's an on-demand delivery of compute power, database, storage applications, and other IT resources via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing model. Right. So this has quite many advantages, and we'll talk about it in a moment. But one thing, yeah, it's in the introduction part. Yeah, okay, here it is. So in 2006, AWS began offering IT infrastructure services to businesses as web services. So question comes is that Amazon being more of a like online retail company which used to sell books, and expanded into selling like uh, other stuff. How it started, uh, offering IT infrastructure services on AWS. So what happened over the years is that while AWS was building its own retail, it has developed a core competency in running infrastructure at a very large scale. And while solving this problem, they thought that there will be other businesses who will be going through the same issues. Then why not they can expand this particular into offering other people to use IT infrastructure as a web services. And that's how the whole AWS and the cloud concept started. There are a lot of other players who started coming into it, but that's how the whole concept of the cloud and AWS started. Mm, what is cloud computing? We looked into this, so we'll talk about the 6 advantages of cloud computing, and this is a really a beneficial. This is something that you should be understanding as much as possible. And this is really important even when it comes to probably interviewing at AWS. There will be questions, in case if you say that you have worked on cloud, or you're trying to learn cloud, there will be questions on what is cloud, or how would you explain the benefits of a cloud to a CEO. Now that's one of the things that as a solution architect we do a lot. We consult a lot of CEO, CTOs, and CXO levels. Or in general. So we should be knowing the advantages of cloud computing for organizations who have been running on data centers for couple of decades. Uh, Transitioning them to cloud would require a deep understanding of the advantages that what cloud computing would provide to them if they move that, right? So let's look into each of them one by one. Trade capital expense for variable expense. What does this exactly mean? This means that if I am an organization and I have a data center, then what I need to do is that I have to have a lot of capital expense uh, for my data center, whether it is setting up the full data center, or having those servers, having racks, power, cooling, so on and so forth. So I need to have a lot of upfront capital expense even before thinking about starting building applications or serving our customers. When you move to cloud, those capital expenses can be treated with variable expense. you can start, because now you are consuming uh, your IT infrastructure with a pay as you go pricing model, right? And you only pay for what you consume. You can only pay for what you consume. Then your expenses is variable. The second is benefit from massive economies of scale. What it means is that a lot of companies, like for example, AWS serves so many organizations worldwide that it is able to innovate at a quite fast way and is able to provide the resources in a in a much economical way than any company would be able to do for themselves. And so the first two is mainly the cost benefits. So for any organizations, the cost benefit is one of the most essential. So that's the first 2 points of cost benefit. Third is stop guessing capacity, and this is really important. Like I come from a telecom background. In my first company, I was in a telecom industry. I know, and any a new application that we used to roll out, we used to think about that. What will be the adoption of this particular application in terms of the end users, and based on that we used to guess the capacity of what server capacity we should be having in our infrastructure so that we can have manage that load, right? uh, More often than not, what happens is that we either end up under provisioning it or over provisioning it. When we under provision it, and let's say if the demand is more than the servers are able to handle, then it's a bad user experience. So generally, companies do not kind of uh, agreed, or they don't want to do that which has a bad user experience. So they end up having over provisioning their infrastructure, which means that there is a lot of idle capacity that is sitting and you're paying for it without using it. But when you're on the cloud, knowing that you can scale in and out, right? When you say scale in and out, that means you can increase the capacity or decrease the capacity based on the user demand, and that too instantly. You can you can think about only on the business application side of it, and not thinking about guessing the capacity or how the user adoption would be. Increase speed and agility. Now, when I see this speed and agility, what does it means is that, let's say if you're on a on-prem and you want to use this shiny new a thing, then think about the lead time that it will be there. You would be thinking about procuring a server. You would be thinking about procuring a software. Then you'll be thinking about when the server would arrive in few weeks. In, let's say, first of all, you need to go through multiple approvals in your organization to get a server, and then it will be shipped and it will be coming to your office. Then you'll be thinking about the software licenses, and you'll be configuring your server with the required OS and all the software and this new software, and that's when you'll be able to start using it. Compared to that, when it comes to cloud computing, you would be able to provision the instances, um, and then you will be able to use it. And even if if you try and use it and it does not work in a way that you thought it would, let's say you try to do an experiment and it failed, that is fine. You can always deprovision it or stop using the instance. You can just shut it down, and you can give that capacity back to the AWS, and you'll not be paying for it. Compared to it, when you are that's your ability of risk taking increases multifold. That's how the invention or the innovation happens. Like think about Netflix or Airbnb. These are the uh, examples that were born on AWS just because they were able to experiment and fail at a much faster rate. Because if you're on prem and you get a server, and if it does not work the way you would want, then the risk taking ability, because you will not be able to return it, the risk taking ability reduces. So that increases your speed and agility of your teams to try and experiment uh, at a much faster rate and at a much lower cost. Then stop spending money running and maintaining data centers. So here what happens in this particular specific uh, point, what it means is that a lot of organization, like kind of will lift a lot of undifferentiated heavy lifting. That's what they try and do. Like it's they uh, spend their resources and effort and energy in running and maintaining data centers, but that is not what is actually needed for their end customers. It is only for the applications that they want to run. They need to run these data centers, right? So if they can like use cloud instead, then all the running and maintaining data centers will be handled uh, by AWS, and the businesses can focus on the actual differentiating factor which is going to help their business. And finally, go global in minutes. When we talk about growing global in minutes, it means that, let's say you have started with a small application, a POC, in one specific region, and then the idea got an instant hit, and you would like it to expand it to multiple regions. Then, using the scale that AWS has, and we'll look into the global infrastructure that AWS has in a moment, you can use it to scale it at a much like faster rate. So yeah, for example, Netflix, like now Netflix operates in almost every geography in the world, and that's because it runs on AWS, and like it has it is able to use multiple regions that AWS has. Cool. Let's move forward. Then there are like types of cloud computing, whether it is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, a software as a service. When we talk about infrastructure as a service, then it's about the basic building blocks, like typically it is like networking features or the computers, which is like the virtual machines that you would be provisioning on AWS, and you'll be using them. That's infrastructure as a service. When it comes to platform as a service, it removes the need of organization to managing the underlying infrastructure. It is more of a using cloud as a platform as a service, and you can focus mainly on the like development and the deployments and the management of your applications that you have built. Then you can go one step further and use software as a service, where you don't even like think about building your applications. It's about using those applications, which is the SaaS model. So these are different kinds of cloud computing models. Then when it comes to deployment models, there are different kinds of deployment models. One is hybrid. One is cloud, which is like you are using a specific cloud, right? Of like for example, you're using AWS as a cloud, then all your infrastructure is on the cloud and you're operating from the cloud itself. Hybrid is something that you are using your on-prem as well as cloud, like few of your resources are your on-prem and few of the resources are on your cloud. And most enterprise organizations who have been running on their data centers would be running in hybrid for some quite some time. Like it will not be an overnight migration from hybrid, like from your on-prem to cloud. It will be like a phased transition. Some enterprises take 3 to 4 years to complete the transactions based on like how big the organization is and so on and so forth. That's when they'll be running on hybrid. And then there is on-prem, which is the entire infrastructure of the company is on-prem. There is another uh, uh, like a flavor to it, which is multi-cloud. There are organizations who think about having their resources across multiple clouds. When I say multiple clouds, multiple public cloud providers. So that also comes mostly into hybrid, I would say. Okay, global infrastructure. I'll pause for a moment to see if there is any question. If not, let's look into the global infrastructure. And this is something that you should be understanding in more detail. So when it comes to global infrastructure, you need to understand two terms very clearly: AWS regions and availability zones. You need to understand these two terms very, very clearly. I repeat, AWS regions and availability zones. So what's an AWS region is? AWS region is a physical location in the world where we maintain multiple availability zones. So let me open AWS Global Infrastructure page and show it to you. 25 launched regions. So there are 25 regions. I'm talking about these geographical regions that there are on which in which AWS operates. Each of these region has multiple availability zones. When we talk about region, right, then region is a combination of one or more availability zones, and that's what we'll look into here. In fact, I would like to look in fact of there. Yeah, here it is. I would want to give you a more detailed. So where which all regions it has. So here is the map of all the regions. So in your North America, the regions are in US East, US West. Each of it you will see how many availability zones it has. 3, 4, when they got launched, and so on and so forth. And if you want to look into the Europe region, so here it is. So they have in Frankfurt, London, Paris, when they were launched, how many availability zones. So if you see, there are 3 availability zones uh, for all the regions in Europe. Similarly, Asia Pacific, right? So each region is a geographic region. Now let's look into the definition in more detail. It represents the concept of region, which is physical location around the world where we cluster our data centers. We call each group of logical data centers an availability zone. So there are multiple data centers, and when you club multiple data centers, that becomes one availability zone. And multiple availability zones, like 3 or more availability zones, become a region. Each region consists of multiple isolated and physically separate availability zone within a geographic area. And this is the major difference between AWS and other cloud providers, which they have mentioned here. Like, unlike other cloud providers who often define a region as a single data center, right? But when we call about AWS region, it consists of multiple availability zones, and each availability zone consists of multiple data centers. So what are the benefits of this? This multiple AZ design of every region offers advantages for the customers. Like each availability zone has its own independent cooling, power, physical security, and connected via redundant ultra low latency networks. So try and understand this in more detail, and you will be going through this in on the 6-hour digital course that I have said in the week 2 in more detail. So let's look into the availability zones here. An availability zone is one or more discrete data centers with redundant power, networking, connectivity in every region. Availability zones give customers the ability to operate production applications and database that are highly available, fault tolerant, and scalable. So you should be understanding these terms. When it comes to a solution architect, you should be understanding these terms. What does highly available mean? What does fault tolerant mean? What does scalable mean? So if you are not aware of these concepts, please read through these concepts. So these are specific terms: highly available, fault tolerant, scalable. One other thing that's here, the availability zone are physically separated by a meaningful distance, like many kilometers from other availability zones, although they are within 100 kilometers of each other. So think about this. Let's say there's a region in London. Then that means London has 3 availability zones. That means it has 3 availability zones within 60 miles of each other. And each of the availability zone has multiple data centers. So that's what availability zone is, or the region is. So that's the whole global infrastructure concept that I would like you to be aware of. So go through this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask it, in the Telegram group or in the next session. Then cloud security and compliance. So when it comes to security and compliance, so let's talk mainly about the security. Security in a cloud has a concept about shared responsibility model. And in the shared responsibility, and in the learning path also, there would be in the security fundamentals, there would be a section about the shared responsibility model which you should be understanding. So it talks about two things: responsibility of the cloud and responsibility in the cloud. So it comes to the security in the cloud. Then if you're talking about whether, it also depends upon whether it is a different kind of, it is IAS, PAS or SAS, or what level of security that you as a customer needs to manage. But generally, when it comes to the differentiation, then when it talks about the underlying hardware or the regions or the having the physical security of the data centers, or even the the compute storage, then that's the responsibility of the cloud which AWS takes care of. Anything related to the application or the customer data, encrypting the customer data, or handling it sensitively, that would be security in the cloud, which is the responsibility of the customer. So do understand this shared responsibility model. That will be really essential for you. Okay, now let me go back here. So that's what you should be looking into it, reading through this and going into the detail to understand. AWS Cloud enables the shared responsibility model. While AWS manages security of the cloud, you are responsible for security in the cloud. This means that you retain controls of security you choose to implement to protect your own content, platform, applications, systems, and networks, no differently that you would do in an on-site data center. The good part here is AWS does provide you with the guidance and expertise through online resources, and there are a lot of third-party tools as well as AWS provided tools which you can use to configure to make your environment more secure. For example, if you are storing any sensitive files on S3, then there are ways to ensure that your S3 is a storage service by AWS. Uh, then there are ways to secure your storage service in a way that no one who is not allowed to access is able to access, which means that who the person, only the authorized person are able to access. So there are tools through which you would be able to configure that. But the responsibility of configuring that lies with the customer. Okay. And then comes to compliance. Then there are a lot of industries like, for example, healthcare industries or the finance industries, they will be having different kinds of regulations that they need to follow. Whether it is, like PCI DSS, which is mainly, for, for any financial institution transactions, or, like a FISMA, FedRAMP, or ISO. So AWS provides these, like infrastructure, provides the customers designed in alignment with these best security practices. It does not mean that if you're hosting your application on AWS, then you become automatically compliant. You still have to configure your applications in a way that these are compliant. But the behind the scene infrastructure, the overall design is the way that these are compliant. And you will be able to find more details in it. So if there is a where I'll be able to find all the compliance report that AWS has, then AWS artifacts is the answer. AWS artifacts. So AWS artifact is a place, central go to central resource for compliance related information that matters to you. You'll be able to find all the reports available that uh, that AWS has. One thing before we move on to the more hands-on. So every session will try and have a mix of between the theory and the hands-on. So before we move on to the hands-on, one thing that I would like to mention here about the platform is these first three things: management console, CLI, with command line interface, and SDK, which is software development kit. There are three ways to access your AWS. Behind the scenes, all the services in the AWS are APIs. When I say APIs, that you will be able to access the APIs in a way you will be doing any other API. But when it comes to accessing them, you can either access through AWS Management Console. That is what we're going to do. We are going to create an AWS account. We'll log in into AWS Management Console, and so on and so forth. Command line interface. These are CLI commands through which you will be able to interact with AWS services. and then software development kit, which is mainly in case if you are programming in languages like languages like uh, C Sharp or Java or Node.js. Then we have SDKs built on top of that so that you can use uh, uh, them to interact with AWS. And that's pretty much. So there are three ways to access AWS: Management Console, CLI, and SDK. And behind the scenes, all of them are APIs. So when like behind the scenes, each of these call the APIs, and the interaction happen via the APIs. I'm going to stop here and probably yeah. Should we take a? I know we have been like it might be heavy for people who are doing it for the first time. So should we take a quick 5 minutes break and then we'll be back and then we'll look into the hands-on labs. We might start with someone who is doing few like any questions that the people have, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes for a hands-on. So what we'll do is that we'll create a free tier account, and anyone who does not have, so let me ask that question, like anyone who would like to create, who does not have a AWS free tier account and would like to create it right now, then what we can do is that on the like we can do it right away, all of us together. Yeah, I'll need a break, I'll need a drink, I'll take a 5 minutes break, but I just want to say one thing, that have your credit card ready uh, when we'll be meeting in 5 minutes, so that in case if you want to create AWS free tier account, you will need your credit card. Nothing will be charged on your credit card as long as you are using the free tier account like services, but the credit card is mandatory to create AWS account. So have that, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. And see, there are a lot of questions in the chat window. So yeah, I'll be back in a couple of minutes and I'll try and answer those questions, and then we'll kickstart again. Cool. Yep, I am back. And I see there are questions going on. Any specific question that needs my attention here? Yeah, I think debit card also gets accepted. I did not try my debit card. That is fine. There are a few questions above. Which model government entity would adopt? That it totally depends upon the government to government. It depends upon which government is there. Yeah, most government do has like private currently, but yeah, a few of the governments are moving on to the public cloud. Clouds are having kind of long-term agreements with the governments. Would Zoom be example of SAS? Yeah, that is fine. Someone confirmed it. Good enough. Okay. Thanks, whoever is helping to answer. That's really good. Is there any outstanding question that is there? Okay, cool. Seems like everyone is there. So anyone right now who would like to create AWS free tier account? So let me go to the AWS free tier account because that's where we would like to start for someone who is starting fresh. We would like to get them AWS free tier account, which we can do it in next 10-15 minutes, and then we'll log into our account and we will do the first steps onto the AWS account. So AWS free tier account, if you click here, you can always go to Amazon AWS free. And as you see, you can click here to create a AWS free tier account. But there are quite many services that are free. If you look into here, you'll be able to see which all services you are free. And we'll also set a billing dashboard, like billing alert in a way that, like you do not accidentally start spending any money uh, by using services which is not in the free tier. Right, so we'll do that also. But yeah, you can always browse through this list here, like in case if you want to use a specific database, you can always search here with the database, and they'll be telling you whether which of them are in free tier and which of them are not in free tier, and so on and so forth. Right. Yeah, for example, compute and so forth. So create a free tier account. You can click here. Okay, it is going to take me to my, so what I'll do is I'll probably log out first, and then I'll go to the free tier account. And you can sign up here. There are 5 steps to follow after you give here. It asks for a few validations, your address and credit card details, and so on and so forth. Um, so if anyone does not have a free tier account, please put it on the chat. If everyone has it, then we'll directly log into AWS account and we'll start from there. And I'm glad to see everyone has free tier account. That's really good. So what I'll do is that I'll try and log in. So I'm going to log in. I'm going to take it to my other screen, log in and come back here. Kedar, you do not have a free tier account. So you should be creating a free tier account. So that will be, I'll recommend you to do it right now if possible, or just after the session. Do it, but try and do it today itself. That will be really helpful. So I created this account fresh. So when you'll create a fresh account, then yeah, you would be able to have this as your landing page, which will be your AWS Management Console. You'll be able to see your account details here, uh, and so on and so forth. And then this is the main services tab. So this is where all your services would be listed, right? So if you see here, if you see the first one, AWS Services Compute. So when we talked about the core services, like whether it is compute, whether it is storage, whether it is database, they're all grouped into a specific service type, and then they are listed the services. You'll be able to um, browse from them. Or for example, security. Like we would be having a full section about security. IAM, which we'll talk about today, is a bit of identity and access management. Is AWS account same as AWS free tier account, or both are different? They are same. AWS account and AWS free tier account are same. It's all about like when you sign up for the first time through a free tier account, then you get a few of the services for free for a year, right? So yeah, that's the only difference, that for those services there will be no uh, kind of charges for using those services. And yes, Kedar, it should not take more than 5 minutes to create a free tier account. You just go to AWS free tier account, click there. It's just like a few, put in few details, put in your credit card, and that's pretty much. You'll get a message on your mobile number that you will provide a PIN, and that's your security verification. And do that, and you should be up and running with this particular AWS console. One challenge that I would give everyone this week who are new to AWS is configure your CLI. That is that, let's say if you want to do anything, then how can you configure your CLI so that you are accessing your AWS services through the CLI rather than not from the GUI. This is like a graphical user interface, right, that we are using AWS Management Console. So that's the challenge I would like everyone to take. If you do not have configured your AWS CLI, please do that. And the steps for configuring it would be very simple. AWS CLI, and there will be a get started link, hopefully. Yeah, get started link, so you can go through this get started and you would be able to configure your CLI, right? Based on like whether you are on Windows, Mac, whichever machine you are on, you should be able to find your you can install the CLI and uh, configure your CLI. That will be helpful. Okay, now coming back to here. So one way of services to go through all of this. Other ways, in case if you have something in mind, you can always type it here. Like for example, security. I want to look into all the services that are related to security. So it comes with security, detective, hybrid, and so on and so forth. I want to, let's say, access IAM. Then I can simply type IAM here, and all the access, all the like services comes here. But first thing first, once you have a new AWS account, what we should be doing is we should be ensuring that like you do not go out of your free tier. So for that, you can always set up your billing alert. Anyone here who has set up their billing alerts, please feel free to respond on the chat. So you can click on the billing alerts by typing billing here, or you will be able to go to your billing by my billing dashboard here. Good to know that few people have set up their billing alerts. So, but still, yeah, I'll show it for the benefit of everyone. Billing preferences. You need to start with billing preferences. And two things that I would like everyone to do is receive free tier usage and provide your email address here. Provide this email. Or in fact, no, I'll provide the email address. Here, and then save the preferences and receive billing alerts. These are two things that you can do. When you turn on this feature, you will monitor your usage and recurring fees automatically. So when you receive free tier usage alerts, it will tell you that how much free tier you have used, so that you know that like you're not consuming all of your free tier accounts and so forth. And once enable, like this. So once you enable this, then you can manage your billing alerts either through the billing dashboard, which we will do, or through the new budgets featured. So now who has done it? The question would be that have you used manage billing alerts or have you used the new budgets feature? Either is fine. We are going to look into manage billing alerts today, but I just want to know that have you tried both of them? Have you tried which one of them? And then you can save the preferences. So everyone has used manage billing alerts, which is good. You can always try the new budgets feature that if you would like. But let's go to the manage billing alerts. So when I click on manage billing alerts, it will take me to the CloudWatch. And CloudWatch in itself is a quite big topic. We'll discuss it in more detail. But CloudWatch, as the like name mentions, it watches your cloud. So you can set up your like alerts and so on and so forth here. So here there are a lot of multiple things that you can see here in the CloudWatch. But one of the things that you can do is always set up your billing alerts by going into Alarms Billing tab. Yes, you can use different AWS, different email for preferences. I'm sure you should be able to use that. I did not try it out, but yeah, you should be able to use that. Uh, Next is yeah, billing alarms. So one thing that I have seen people doing a quick mistake is that create clicking. I know this is not a very good user friendly, but click the create alarm from here instead of here if you want to create the billing alarm. So this create alarm is creating alarm for any topic. This particular create alarm is specifically for creating a billing alert. So click the create alarm here, right? So when you click here, it automatically prefills few like uh, text boxes. What is the metric name? Is the estimated charges that based on the it's not the actual charges, based on the estimated charges itself, it is going to raise an alarm, right? Currency, you can always choose your currency, whether it's USD, INR, GBP, based on your statistics. Is maximum is okay. How much statistics you would like to show. Period is that in how much period that it should be able to collect the data. Then the threshold type, whether you want it to be a static based on a value or whether there is an anomaly detection. That means if you see a different anomaly, then you would like it. But in this, we would like to, like static greater than. So if I see that my like estimated charges is greater than even 1 USD, I would like to raise an alarm and get notified so that I can stop using the services. Okay, then I'll click on next. So this is where it says that when do you would like it to be notification? When you are in an alarm state, when you're okay state, or insufficient data state. Insufficient data state is like it is still not having much enough data. But like whether it is okay state means all is good. So you would like a notification when it is an in alarm state. And if it is an in alarm state, then select an existing SNS topic. You can select SNS is a more of a simple notification service by AWS, which can help you get notified. So we'll create a new topic. This topic is going to get created. We can change the name if you want to, and then this topic is going to send emails to the email ID that you will mention here. So I'm going to mention here my same email. So that it is going to send me emails on this particular email, and it's going to create a topic for that. So it created a specific topic. Okay. It failed to create the topic. So I have to look into it why the topic creation failed. It should work. Ideally, select an existing SNS. Strange. I'm not sure why it is not allowing me to create topic at this moment, but I can check and get back on that. And once that notification is set, you'll receive an email in case if the billing notification exceeds, and you can click on next here. It'll allow. So I'll have to remove this notification, and then as of now I do not have any specific notification. You can click on next and provide an alarm name to it, and I click on next, and to like the alarm would be created. But I'll try one more time to see what is the issue. Yeah, I have also created multiple times this. Cool. I think I'll have to check into it why it is not working. Let me do one thing. Let me refresh it, the page overall. Yep. Let it load again, and I'll try one more time. Okay. Without an email endpoint. It's okay. Create topic required. Okay. Cool. Let's move forward. Yeah, this is becoming. Uh, I'm not sure. But yeah, in case if I'll be able to find the root cause, I'll get back to you guys in the Telegram group that why that particular thing happened. But that's how you can create your uh, billing notification so that you get a notification when it's exceeding. Yeah, I did change the name and tried. So instead of, let's say I will say CloudWatch billing alarm. Yeah, because right now there should be no alarms because it's a totally fresh account. It just rename default. Yeah. Yep. Somehow it doesn't. Yep. Somehow it's not liking. One last try. Alarm state should be an alarm, that is fine. Okay, that's the last thing I'm going to try it. And it failed to create, so I'm going to leave it as it is. See, one way I can always do is go to SNS, create a topic there, and come back here. So we have SNS here. We can create a topic here, and then I can attach that topic here. Oh, this is the reason. I have not verified my account, and that is why it is not letting me to do anything. So let me go ahead and let me verify my account. So now I know the reason, and that makes sense. So I did create this account, And when we create an account, it does send an email to verify the account. And I'll have to verify it before I'm able to access it. Okay, I did that. So should we try now? CloudWatch. I'll leave it as it is. Now, services may take 24 hours to fully activate if you're unable. So yeah, I did create this account a couple of hours before. So probably it will take some time for the entire AWS account to be active. No problem. In the meantime, let's look into what other things that we can do. For example, the one thing that I would like you to, yeah, I'm signed as mentoring with prasad1@gmail.com. Yeah. Mm, I am, because mentoring with Prasad is what I used in the previous batches. Okay. So one thing that I would, so what we have done with creating an alarm is that you have secured your account, that it does not kind of, go beyond, or it does not use any services which are not in the free tier account, or it notifies you if you start, getting any charges on it. But other thing that is really important to secure AWS account is uh, having the root credentials secured properly. First is you need to enable the MFA on your root account. So has everyone enabled the MFA on the root account? If not, please do it. You can simply go there and create this particular step and click on activate MFA. And then you can use authenticator app. So from the best practices perspective, it is really important for you to ensure that your authentication is done. So what I'll do is that let me show you. Uh, yeah, I'll probably ping these links also later on. But what I'll do currently is that I'm going to show one link which has all the best practices listed as per the for the security. So let me get that link. I'm going to one of my previous video where I've put all the links there. Yeah, here it is. I am security best practices. I am security best practices. So if you see this, so one is definitely enable an MFA that you should be doing on your root user account, as well as every account, every user, or account that you will create for every user, right? Then lock away your AWS account root user access key. So right now I am logged in as a root user here. I should not be doing any activity as a root user. I should be creating the users who will be actually using it and giving them specific roles and permissions so that they will be able to do the appropriate tasks. So we'll look into that. So there is a concept of users, there's a concept of groups, there's a concept of roles, and there's a concept of policies. You should be knowing all of this, understanding what is the difference between each of them. Users, I said, is a very simple concept, is creating a new user. Groups is nothing but a collection of users. So best practice is that assign a permission or a policy or a role, and we'll talk about that, to a specific group. And then instead of giving user a specific policy or a permission, assign user to a specific group. So for example, let's say I need to have a group of administrators. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a group name called admin and give a policy. So policies are more like a permissions that you will provide. So there are a lot of managed policies which you already able to find. You can create your own policies, and we'll look into that, dive deep into that. But here we are creating a policy for administrators. So we'll create a policy for administrators. Click on next. So I have a group name called admin with policy of administrators, and I'll click on create group. It is as simple as that of creating a group, right? So once we have a group, then we can create a user or as many users as we wish, right? And assign it to the group. And I can have another group, let's say for read only. So if I go to create another group and I would say like read only, let's see. So there are multiple read only. So depending upon which AWS services you would like to give them the read only access, you can select them. Right? Let's say you want them access only to, for example, S3 bucket read only. So if you want a certain group of users want to have access to the storage service, but they can only read those all the files, they will not be able to any modifications. So you can use this group. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to previous step and I'll name the group name as S3 read only. Next step, S3 read only access. Next, and I'll create groups. So you can have multiple groups like these. Now I'll create users and assign it to the groups. So you'll go to create. I'm going to add a user. I'll put my username as Prasad. Now this is important, access type. Whether you want a programmatic access or whether you want a console access. So console access is what we are doing right now. So I'm accessing this particular, management console through the root account console access. But in case if you want the programmatic access also, that is, you will be having access key ID and secret key, so that you'll be able to use it through a CLI or SDK. Remember, we talked about 3 ways to access management console, CLI, and SDK. So for the other kinds of access apart from the management console access, you will need the programmatic access. So I'm going to use Prasad only for the console access for now. So I'm going to click here. It generates auto-generate password. Now, and it requires a password reset, so that you will be able to reset it in your next login. Click on next permissions. Then which now to assign permissions to the user, you can see there are 3 options. You can add user to a specific group. Now we know that this particular user, like I want to be admin, so I'm going to put myself as admin, and I'm going to lock away my root user, which is mentoring with Prasad. I'm going to lock away that. I'm going to only use Prasad for that. Or I can copy permissions from existing user. There are 3 options I said, which you can see. Either I'll add user to a group, or I can attach policy directly to the user. I can click on this and I can attach policy directly to the user itself. It's not a best practice, but you can always do it. Best practice is to consolidate it, because our organization will be having multiple people, so it's always good for tracking purposes to use it via groups. And click next tags. So tags is a way that you'll be able to identify the resources. So later on, we'll discuss in future, in the future sessions, that how we can use the tags, but it's optional, mainly used in for tracking and even for the billing purposes, depending upon the resources. If there are multiple AWS resources that you have provisioned and you would like to track them to a specific department or a specific application, all of them can be done via these tags. Click next review and you can create a user. So for this particular user, the name is Prasad, password is auto-generated, and this is the managed policy that we are giving. Right? So this particular managed policy is that I will be able to change my password, and the group is anyways administrator. So it inherits the policy of the administrator also. I'll create a user here. So when I create a user here, then if I click on show password, it's going to show password only once. And then you'll not be able to access the password. You can either think about having an email. You can click on this and it will send you an email with the password and you will have the password always. You can download the CSV file. Like I'll download the CSV file and I have the credentials with myself. But I'll not be able to access the password again. So if I click on Prasad again, I'll not be able to access the password again. So it's a one-time thing. If not, then what you can do is that you can always create a new user for yourself. That's mainly for the security purposes. That's on how you can create a user, and then you can log in with this particular user so that you do not use the root user. So that's really important thing to do. Now coming back to the roles and policies. So let's see here. So these are the few best practices which I would say, like go through them in detail. If you have any specific question, feel free to ask. But when it comes to the basic concepts, there's a concept of called identities, and there are three kinds of identities. That is users, groups, or roles. And there is access management, which has policies. So policies or permissions is something that you will provide. Is like let's read the official definition. That to manage the access, you can do it by creating the policies and attaching them to identities. So you have three identities, either it's a group, user, or a role. And you can manage the access of how these identities can access the AWS by attaching a policy to it. So policy is how you manage the access, and it's a permissions that you provide. There are multiple types of policies, as you can see, and we can dive deep into this. This will be required mainly if you're going for security specialty, or even for AWS Solution Architect Associate. It will be good for you to understand all of them in more detail. But I would like to focus more on here the managed policies and the inline policies. So there are multiple types of policies. As I said, we'll go back to the console to say it. I am console. Okay, here I am console. So if I click on policies here, there are multiple policies. So all these policies, if you see, are managed, AWS managed, right? So let's look into any specific AWS managed policy. Administrator access amplify, or before that, I like to better I show the S3 one, S3 read only access. So there's a managed policy of Amazon S3 read only access, and you can always create this, and we will do it in a moment. I'll show you how, but you can create a lot of complex policy, but this is a very simplex policy in the JSON format. All of them is in a JSON format, which looks like this. If I zoom in a bit, it has a statement which effect is allow action. Because it's only read only, it can either get all the files, or I don't want to dive deep much into S3 right now for the people who are getting started, not to overwhelm them. But if you see, there is no action here like create or delete. It's only the read only access. You can either get or list. And resources, all the resources. So action is only available on S3 for the get and list and all the resources of actions. So let's say, depending upon which all files you have, you'll be able to access all of them. And a read only policy. You can create your own policy. Two ways to do it. Either you can use the visual editor, or you can type in the JSON yourself. If you create the visual editor, let's say you choose a service, and let's say I want to create a EC2 service. For EC2 action, I want to do all the actions. I will do a specific action. Let's say I would like to allow only read. Right, then it will show you. And if you want to remove any of them, you can always remove them. You can always specify. You can go to very granular level of what exact permissions you would like to give. So I removed two of them, right? And then these are resources, and I can provide more conditions, but I'll click next. I'll click on next tags. Oh, there are 5 warnings to it. Specify the resources. Okay, I'll have to specify specific resources, that whether I want a specific resources or I want all resources. So I'm going to go for all resources for now, that all resources of EC2. They should be having read access to all of these, and then click off next. I can add a tag if I would like to for this particular policy. Next review, I'll give a name EC2 test read and create a policy. Right. So if I go back here and search for EC2 test, so you see this is set as customer managed policy. So this is not a policy that is AWS managed. It is not a policy that has been provided out of box by AWS. This is a policy that a specific user has created for like his own requirements perspective. So it's a customer managed policy. So you would be, when you'll be working with applications, you'll be seeing a lot of times you're creating your specific policies um, for your specific application. So let's say if you are creating an application which need access to 3 specific resources, you will be creating a policy like this. So if we look into the automatic JSON file that it created, this is the file created, and you can always edit this JSON policy on your own. You can edit it again by the visual or go to JSON and you can edit it your own. If I don't want access to these extra 2, I'm going to remove them and I'm going to update the policy, review it and update it. So that's how you can play with the policies. So when you have set on the exact permissions or the boundary that you would like your specific identity to have access to, that's when you're going to attach it to either a user, group, or a role. Now let's come to role. You understand the users, you understand the group. Now let's come to roles. In fact, let's go here to understand about the roles better. So role is an IAM entity that you can create in your account. There are specific permissions, obviously. IAM role is a similar to IAM user. It's not a user, but it's similar to IAM user. It is attached to a specific AWS, resource, so that that particular resource is able to assume this particular role. So let's say I'm creating and we'll do that in our next session. Let's say if we are, provisioning a EC2 instance, it is a compute instance, and we want that compute instance to able to access S3, then we'll add a role to this compute instance, and that particular role will be having a policy. That policy says that allow access to the S3. We will not be able to add a user to a EC2 instance. We'll be able to add a role to EC2 instance. So you need to understand the difference between the role and a user. User is something that a particular physical user who is doing it. Role is something that is used for a specific AWS resource. You can use roles to delegate access to users, applications, or services that don't normally have access to AWS resources. So yeah, so when we come back to role here, so if you see here, there are 2 roles already, but you can create your own role and then provide a service policy. And you'll be able to understand this in lot more detail in the week 2 when you'll be doing the hands-on labs in a more detail. But at least in week 1, what I would like you to do is go through these, have a free tier account, familiarize yourself with these AWS services, browse through this, secure your account, have a billing dashboard, billing alert, lock your root account. Challenge is 2 things. One, first have a CLI, AWS CLI. Try and create a AWS. So if I talk about giving you challenges for this particular week, then I would say let me open a notepad, and I would say, and you might feel it is a bit advanced, and if it is so, leave it. But in case if you have time and you are ahead of the curve, then configure CLI and create a user or role using a CLI. Instead of what we have done it through a UI, do it through your CLI. Second is, again, if you have time. So one thing that you will notice that when you will access via administrator account, you will not be able to access the billing dashboard. Okay, try accessing billing dashboard via a user which is not a root user. So as a root user, I'm able to access my billing dashboard, right? But I'll not be able to access it when I log in via any other user. So how can I access billing dashboard via user and which might be having administrator permissions? Let's say user which is having admin permissions. So try and do that. And that's pretty much that I have to share for this particular week. So let me see if, yeah, let's go back here. Uh, yeah, if we see here, we have looked into few of the cloud concepts. Yeah, see, as I said, like most of the hard work needs to be done by you. So you need to understand in this particular week, spend 6 to 8 hours understanding the cloud concepts, going through the security and compliance, having these fundamentals are clear, and these learning resources would be really helping you. You can go through either the LinkedIn post or the Medium article, and you'll be able to access the resources. If you are facing any issues, feel free to ping it on the uh, Telegram group. Use Telegram group, I would say, obviously we'll have to respect all the people who are there on the Telegram group so that we do not spam it too much. But in case if you have any questions which is really much relevant for your learning, please feel free to ask it there. And any people who would like to help them answering it, I'll try and do it as much as I can. But anyone, like as I see in the chat also, there are a few people who are answering the questions, and I'm really grateful to you guys. So please continue to do that. Let's help each other, uh, yeah, in enabling each other. So yes, I would say that spend the 6 7 hours of study this week, understand the basics, and create your free tier account and understand the security part of it. And we do have 5 minutes, so in case if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Or if not, feel free to share any feedback that you have. I'm more than happy to receive any feedback. Okay, reshare Medium and the LinkedIn link. Okay, here is the link of the Medium article. Okay, someone seems like has pasted all the articles. Great. So Vikram, if you can paste it on the Telegram group also, that will be helpful. If you just paste it on the Telegram group, all these links, or any one of the person, if they can paste it on the Telegram group, it will be really helpful. And thank you, Chirag. I see that you have put it on the Telegram group, the challenge for this week. How to lock root user? When I say lock root user, it means that like do not use the first of all, enable the MFA. That's very important. Enable the MFA. And locking a root user means that you're not using those credentials. So you're using credentials of the your users that you have created. Regarding setting up the alarm, is there any video as I've set up the account now? Yes, there will be videos and there will be more, but you can always go to my YouTube channel. And if you go to my YouTube channel, I will be able to let's go there. Let me open my YouTube channel. Give me one moment. So here is the link. So yep, let me first open my YouTube channel here. So this is the channel where I have posted the recordings of my previous ones. You will find editing to be very bad and pathetic. I'm not a great editor when it comes to like recording and editing videos. But yeah, I've tried and categorized them in a way that if you want to go to playlists, you'll be able to find those playlists a bit. But yeah, they're not professional at all as compared to any other YouTube channels that you would be looking into. But here, if you see this particular, like a video, which is AWS Cloud Practitioner Week 1 Session 1. In this particular video, you will be able to find the section where AWS account has been created. Okay, here it is. So this is where if you go to 5511 on this particular video, you'll be able to find how to create an alarm. Or you can always, create it. AWS has very good documentations on all this. You can always say AWS create billing alarm, and you will be able to find step-by-step guide of how to do it. It'll give you each and every step in detail. Select an SNS topic, so on and so forth, and start. How to check whether or not an MFA is enabled? It's quite simple. If you go to IAM, let me go back to, okay, I think it's other window. Yeah, here it is. If I go back to my IAM, if your it's enabled, it will show you there. So if it is not enabled, it will tell you, it will give you a security alert like this. Root user for this account does not have multi-factor authentication enabled. Thank you, Abhi. And yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be able to, yeah, there should, yeah, well, no, I'm not sure how many people are joined today and who all joined, who all not. I'm not sure how, I don't think I'll be tracking them. There's no way I will be able to track you. But yeah, in case, if you want to have that motivation and you would look to track, if someone would like to take that a lead in tracking, who is attending, and who is at what stage, it will be really helpful. Just so that you can share a summary of these are the people who are on their journey and so on and so forth. Okay, I see there is a question. Can you explain the difference between role, policy, user? Okay, so first think about policy. I'll go back to the documentation here, and you can simply just go to AWS Identity Access Management user guide. You'll be able to find the differences, but let me explain that. So when it comes to policy, think about policy as nothing more than a statement that defines the permissions, how to access or what accesses that particular policy has. Okay, so let me click on this policies, and so it says you can manage access individuals by creating the policies, and policies is what we saw as a JSON statement, right? So you can define a policy. When it comes to user are the users who are using the AWS platform, and the users can be either in two formats: either they're having access to only the console or having access programmatic access. When it comes to roles, so roles is something that you would attach to a specific resource, AWS resource, so that it is able to, it's also identity, so that it's able to access based on the permissions or the policy that it has attached. Hope that clarifies. Yeah, MFA should be set it up even for the individual users. It's not only for the root user, even for all the users who are accessing AWS account. So MSAs, think about MFA as a second layer of authentication, that, like even if you're using any application, if you would like to have a second layer of authentication, MFA is like that. So you have a user who is accessing AWS account, you have a second layer of authentication. There's a question on where on an authenticator app 6-digit code. No, I think the next code needs to be entered in MFA code too. And there are multiple authenticator apps that you can use. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? If not, I'll stop the streaming. Thank you everyone for participating today. It was hope it was a fun and learning exercise for everyone. I'm sure it was for me. I loved uh, this session and hope we will be able to have this continuous like streak and the motivation for the next to start with next 4 weeks and achieve AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification, and then we'll move on to have AWS Solution Architect Certificate. So good luck for with this week learning, everyone. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm just looking into the chat. Good enough. If there is any feedback on how we can improve these sessions, please feel free to let me know. Hope that timing suits all. I'm sure it'll not suit everyone, but yeah, I try and find out time which kind of helps people in most time zones. But yeah, hopefully the recording will also be alive after this, so it'll be good. But yeah, in case if you guys have any feedback on how we can improve these sessions, how we can make it more interactive, please feel free to let me know. I'm more than happy for any suggestions and feedback. But yeah, thank you everyone. I'm going to stop the streaming now. Do you also have a blog? No, I have started writing on Medium, and as I send the Medium link, I do uh, like write I kind of like write posts on LinkedIn quite frequently. So feel free to like connect with me on LinkedIn or follow me on LinkedIn. I'm quite active on LinkedIn. I try and post quite frequently. For the blog, yeah, I need to find time to blog. I do blog on AWS blog channel, but that is more on the technology part, on the services that I know on my day-to-day basis work that I do. I've written quite many blog on the AWS blogs, but on the personal blogging front, I have not done much yet. I have written just one blog on the Medium. I need to find more time to write. So that's it. This is my kprasadrao.medium.com is my blog channel. If you can but yeah, I'll try and be more regular if I can. Uh, YouTube channel, I did. Okay, let me send that link again. YouTube channel link. That's my YouTube channel link. Here it is. So this is my YouTube channel link. As I said, I have posted my previous sessions recording, which had in this particular YouTube. That's pretty much that is there. Oh, thanks, Nami, for sharing that. AWS blogging site. So AWS blogging site is simple AWS blogs, right? Like AWS blog. So if you just simply go to AWS blog, you'll be having AWS blogs here. So there are a lot many blogs that you would have. So you can specifically go to any specific category that you would like. So for example, recently I have blogged on modernizing with AWS. So yeah, this has been my latest two blogs, why you should be modernizing your legacy .NET applications on AWS and how CloudSoft helped ASP modernize their SQL workloads on AWS. One blog that I would want you guys, if you would like to follow on AWS is go to the launch blog, AWS. Uh, I think it is the news blog only, AWS launch blog, where, yeah, here it is. So AWS launch blog, which comes in the AWS news blog only. So it is like, this particular blog uh, is any new thing that happens on AWS are shown in this particular blog, that any launch process happening. Other thing who are mainly into architecture, I generally like this blog, AWS architecture. So anything related to AWS architecture, you'll be able to find on this blog. For more, there are blogs for your specialties. Like for example, big data. You have a blog for specific that. If you want like developer blog, DevOps blog, front end blog, game technology, machine learning, Internet of Things. There are multiple categories on which you would be able to look into those blogs, and they're quite helpful and they get like updated quite regularly. Yep. Any other questions that we have here? Do we have any specialized certification for Amazon Connect? So there's no specialized certification for Amazon Connect, but there are specialized courses for Amazon Connect for sure. You'll be able to find the courses for Amazon Connect. Uh, but yeah, as of at this moment, at least there is no specialty certification for Amazon Connect. Okay, I think that's pretty much. Thank you all again for joining. Really enjoyed the session interacting with you. I love this level of engagement. So thank you very much. So I'm going to stop the live streaming now, and we are going to see each other same time next week. Till that time, feel free to message on Telegram for any feedback or any questions. I'll be happy to help. Cheers.